Hi, and welcome to Empower Her Conversation. I am your host, Dr. Lavella McGarry, and tonight I have with me Tamara Carson. I call her T, and we are going to chat a little bit about just a little bit what you're dealing with, what's at the forefront of your mind, dealing with your mind space, your transition, trying to move forward, but you have all these undecisive decisions and or thoughts that you're dealing with, and it's even more complicated when you are redefining you and who am I, what should I be doing, and you just wanted to make the right decision. This show is for you. This podcast is for you. Please tell a friend, share the link, and of course for those that are on YouTube, please follow our page, subscribe to our page. It's Lavella McGarry at YouTube. Lavella McGarry at YouTube. Again, tell a friend, share the link, and also tune in. And if you're catching the replay, please press or comment hashtag replay. Tamara, thank you for joining us on tonight. Welcome. Tell us a
Thank you
little
for
bit
having
about
me.
yourself.
Well, I've been in Houston going on 16 years now.
Okay.
Moved down here to go to Texas Southern.
Hmm.
So I am now a mother of a 4-year-old, and I'm really just trying to break into this author lifestyle.
Okay. And how was that so far?
I,
Author
it's
lifestyle.
so far so good. If I can get out of my own head and stop this overthinking, it can go a lot smoother.
Okay,
But
so you're so you're
I'm loving it
overthinking
though.
about the content, or overthinking about the timetable, or overthinking about presentation.
So I overthink the content.
Hmm.
I overthink. I even overthink names when when I'm writing a short story. I overthink names. Like, oh, I know this person. I don't want to name them that person.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm just an overthinker, and
Gotcha.
that's something that I'm working on within myself to learn how to get out of my own head and just let things flow.
Ah, you said it. Get out of your own head and let things flow. In other words, get out of your own way and
Yes.
allow creativity to be fluid and
hmm
let it run, and so you can be carefree and let your imagination flow. You
Right.
said it. So therefore, you found you literally detect, assess, and know what the problem is, and you said, "This is it. Get out of your own way, girl. Just get out of your own
Mhm.
way." So thank you for that, because for those that are listening on tonight, they will find that they too are overthinking, over processing, and with that, you're dealing with a lot of mind hacks. Mind hacks are a lot of downloads of creative thoughts. I want to do this, do that. And for those that are real creative and innovative, where while in the process of working, you have all these creative juices flowing. So again, we can get in our own way and stop the process and stop the flow. So thank you so much for saying that. So
You're
we're talking to women on tonight. Again, tell a friend, share the link, join us on tonight. Join us on tonight. So tell us a little bit also, before I go there, Tamara is also a co-author with myself along with others for the new book project called Ladies in Waiting, Sis, Fix Your
welcome.
Crown. What is your topic? What is your chapter about?
So my chapter is it's self-confidence plus self-love
Mhm.
equals happiness.
Mm. And what
And
does that mean?
I just feel like when you finally figure out how to be confident within yourself, and
Mm,
once you become confident, then you start develop that self-love.
mm,
And once you get those two things together, that's when you start to have happiness.
mm.
And that's my formula.
Okay.
So I just feel like these three things are very important, but you have to learn how to. Everything's a learning process. Life is a learning process. So as you grow older, you start to learn yourself.
Mm.
When we're young, we have these ideas of what, like, beauty. There's all these standards on what beauty is. Beauty is a size, beauty is a color, beauty is all these different things, when really beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Mm.
So you can't So, but once you start to learn that you are beautiful within yourself, with your flaws, with your mistakes, once you learn that, and you learn that your flaws and your mistakes and your past mistakes don't make you who you are today, because you've evolved and you've grown. Once you learn that, then you can start to love yourself. And then once you start to love yourself, you don't go out looking for love from friends, from, you know, significant others. You start to find love within yourself, because now you've learned how to love yourself. Because in my 35 years of life, I've learned that no one can love me better than I love myself. And that's just real, because I know what I like, I know what I don't like, I know what I will and will not tolerate. And other people, you have to teach them that when they come into your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they can love you to a certain extent, but they're not going to love you like you love yourself.
And what you said, just to piggyback off of what you said, was so important because based on what you have transmitted in your language is that you've learned to love yourself to the point where you have set standards and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So you've learned to love yourself, and also people teaches us how to love ourselves. And based on the treatment and or and I'll say abuse, we think that we love ourselves, but in reality, we're bringing more harm to ourselves
Right.
than good. So therefore, that's where the standards fluctuate. What
Mm-hmm.
you think that this one or this sister should have a standard for, she don't, based off of the level of love that she has for herself, or the
Mm-hmm.
measure or the depth that she has for herself. And that also taps into the confidence because um, the world teaches how to love ourselves. Our parents teach us how to love ourselves. Society, the job, religion, our spouse, our relationships teaches us the value, or even present before us a mirror, and it teaches us how to love ourselves. So when you said that, that was very important, because at that point, I said that to say this: you have your stance is solid because you discovered and learned how to love yourself. You put up a standard. What would you say for the women that still struggling in that area?
Uh, so to the women that are still struggling, I would say every day, I mean, just you're gonna have to fight
Mm,
every day. It's you're not gonna wake up one day and like, yes, I love myself today. It's
mm,
not gonna happen. It's
mhm.
going to it's gonna take, you know, work. And
Yeah.
you're gonna have to remind yourself why you should be loved. So you
Mm,
look in the mirror every day and you can write down 5 things on why you know, not why you feel, not why you think, but why you know you should be loved.
mm, mhm,
And you start telling yourself that every day.
mhm.
And tell yourself that multiple times a day. And once you start hearing it from your, whether you hear it from yourself or anybody else, you hear it enough times, you'll start believing it.
But
And that's
that
what you.
it's when I said that too is rehearse. Is when I this is why I said it's rehearse. It's rehearsed for, as when I said it's rehearsed for those that say, I know that I'm loved because the creator loved me, God loves me, and I know that I'm loved. But when you start dealing with the individual
Mhm.
themselves, they're so detached from themselves, Tamara. They're so detached. Basically, the language will let you know based on their conversation about, I know that I'm loved, I know that I'm highly favored, I know that I'm, his daughter, I know. But when it comes to them to describe themselves, or even to be descriptive in regards to the love, or who they are, they cannot, because there's such a disconnection.
Yeah.
But you said when you tap into yourself and learn to love yourself, that's where happiness will come. So,
Hmm.
how can one discover happiness and live in happiness if they are disconnected from themselves?
Whew. Okay. So with that, oh man, so you're gonna have to. So this is where help. I would say help comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of things that we can't do on our own. So if you're disconnected from yourself, you can try to, and if this is something that you really want, you can start trying to um Oh, this is a good question. I would say, try to find help from, like, not saying that I feel disconnected from myself, but like when I was in that women's group with you, and I started seeing, your posts, and I was like, I need somebody like you in my corner.
Mhm.
And then you said, well, add me on Facebook. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, and I didn't think anything really would come of it, but I was like, at least I can, see her on Facebook and see the things that she posts that inspire me. And then when you said, does anyone want to, partake in, co-authoring this, this book? And
Yes.
I'm like, man, this, I've always wanted to, be an author. I just didn't know where to start. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to reach out.
Mhm.
And and then when you reach out, it may not be you thinking that this is somebody that is, you're reaching out for a different reason. Like,
Yes.
I didn't reach out to you because I didn't know that you had a publishing company. I didn't know any of that about you. I just knew that what you posted was very inspiring, and I wanted to somehow be, a little bit, closer to you, versus trying to search you in that, in
Yeah.
that group. And then, if I had a question,
Mhm.
so, but then, I connected with you, and then you introduced me to something I always wanted to do.
Mhm.
So sometimes you just have to, just reach out for help, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I mean,
Yes.
whether that's seeking therapy, there's nothing wrong with therapy.
Mhm.
If you have to join a prayer group,
Mhm.
join a community group, anything, reach out.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to connect back with yourself, or if you don't know where to start with loving yourself, start Googling, things like, I mean, you're going to have to put in some type of work, but
Yes. Yes. Yes.
if you really, because you get to a point in your life where it's like, I don't want to live like this no more.
Mm.
I don't want to feel like this no more. So then you start, how to, like, if you're dealing with depression, something simple like how to get over depression. A million things is going to pop up,
Yes.
so looking at those things, and then something's going to stick out to you on what you can do, and you'll start doing that. So then you'll start getting, more connected, and more, um, you start getting, learning how to get help for your depression or anxiety or anything else that you're dealing with. But sometimes it's not just you doing it on your own. Sometimes you need help, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. If you see someone that is, not saying that you see how they live and you want to live like them, I'm not saying that, but if you see someone who has a certain um, persona about their personality, watch them. You don't have to reach out to them if you're not, sure that you want to reach out to them. Watch them first. Watch their demeanor. See how they do things. And try to, that's another way. Try to, see how they do things, and maybe go, mimic what they do. I mean, there's things out there that we can do. To learn how to connect back with ourselves. And a lot of times it's not going to happen by yourself. You're going to need to reach out for help. And that's just the bottom line. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
And you said it. You said reach out, and the next step is to connect. Reach
Hmm.
out, connect, and also act upon, because sometimes we reach out, and when we don't get the response,
Hmm.
or based on one's expectation, they fade out, they go ghost, because they're
Right.
looking for one to respond, because like, do you see me? I'm here. Do you see me? But reaching out and also connecting, and then now putting in the work.
Hmm.
And because you've done so, that's why we could progress and move forward, transcend beyond one timeline to the next, one series of events to the next. So you'll never know, basically, you'll never know the flow or the interception of time for yourself if you don't reach out and connect, because we're trained and wired to wait. I'll wait until my time comes. I'll wait until it's the right time. I'll wait and wait. And sometimes we miss out on windows of opportunities, thresholds, gateways, and portals of opportunities, because reposition ourselves. We would simply reach out and connect to someone that has a little bit more experience, someone that has insight, someone that has wisdom. So that was perfectly said. So thank you so much for that. And when you said that, it made me think of women, or our women as a whole, our women as a whole. Why you think that they wouldn't reach out?
So one reason I would say is we go back to fear. You
Mm,
know, you're scared. You don't know how to. You don't want to seem abrasive. You don't want to seem desperate. You don't want to seem crazy. You
mhm,
know, like, I'm going through this, and, I see this in you, and, can you help me? Sometimes people look at that as like, well, you crazy, and then sometimes you just don't, you have that, you just don't know how to.
mhm, mhm,
And and that's another issue. And then the other issue is you get into your own head.
mhm,
If I reach out, are they gonna be looking at me? Are they gonna judge me if I tell them my story? If I tell them what I'm going through, are they gonna judge me? Um, are they gonna tell other people my business? Things
mhm,
like that. And then a lot of times people just, I mean, it's sad to say, but sometimes people just don't want to help.
mhm,
And I mean, that's really sad because, um I don't know, I guess I just like to help people as much as I
mhm.
can, but that's another reason people, could have possibly reached out to, someone, and got rejected, and that rejection could have been really harsh, so it keeps them from, ever wanting to do it again. So then they sit and they try to figure it out themselves.
Uh,
So
that was perfectly what you're saying. And it's also so true. Don't mind reaching out, but when I reach out, can I trust you?
right.
Can I trust you with my scars? Can I trust you with my fears? Can I trust you with my dreams? Can I trust you with my vision? Can I trust you with my future?
Hmm.
Can I trust you in what I'm impregnated with? And just to piggyback on what you said, um, where you said that some people don't want to help. Um, there's two ways to look at this. They have helped to the point where they are have been abused and taken for granted,
Yeah.
and now and people don't know and recognize the value of what they are giving, imparting, sharing, and with the wisdom and the knowledge, so they are taken for granted. And also, too, based on one presenting themselves, they know they need help. They see the potential, but if that person hasn't tapped into the potential to articulate or be very expressive to say, I need help in this area, I need help in such and such. It just pretty much is like one asking me, asking you, Tamara, what do you need help with? And you're like, I don't know,
Right.
you know. And we could see the potential, we could see the area in which you need help, but and that's where wisdom and knowledge comes in. We're wanting you to express that area that you need help in because it's a priority for you. But
Hmm.
when one is so vague to the point where I don't know, or they
Right.
have more than one things that they're going on in their head, and they're like, I have to do this, and this. Okay, well, let's deal with one thing at a time. Let's prioritize. Which
Hmm.
one would be your? Which one would be more of a higher value in a sense of high priority? They, I don't know. So I think when they get to that point, or that person, or that point of contact, so that where it'll be a turning point for them or pivotal, they're like, whoa, I finally get to someone that could help me, that could catapult me, that could transcend me, that could thrust me. But oh my gosh, where do I begin? Because they have been through so many doors, and they have dealt with so many people to the point where they've seen the potential, but they couldn't speak to the potential. They couldn't cultivate, they couldn't nurture that individual, that they've been going like a revolving doors to when they get to that point of reaching that person as an advancer of time that could finally help them. It's like, I don't know. They're burned out. I don't know. you
Yeah.
know so how can I help you with your dreams? How can I help you move forward? How can I help you walk or transcend time? How can I help you finally walk out what you've really wanted to do? What does it look like? What does your vision look like 10 years ahead? And when those questions that are, it might seem heavy to them, it could very well be loaded, But
Mhm.
at that point, they're tapping into dormancy. Okay, they're tapping into dormancy. Again, for those that are tuning in, we're talking about confidence, happiness, self love, and we have Tamara Carson with us on tonight. We're speaking to women. We're empowering her conversations on tonight. So again, Tamara, tell me, um, why is it? And we talk about fear. Let's talk a little bit about fear, a little bit more about fear, because what I'm hearing is we're talking a little bit about the unknown. Is it that we fear the unknown because we want to have control of the outcome, or we don't know what the expectation will be, so it's scary? What do you think it really is?
So I'm going to speak for me because I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I'm going to say it is going to be the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
But then also the fear of not knowing where to start.
uh,
So when you have, so those are my two fears. So it's like I have all these different ideas of what I want to do, but these ideas, they're just, as of right now, they're just ideas.
mm,
So until I can sit down and start researching, I'm not, I don't really know where to start. But then on top of that, for me right now, I got a lot going on. Single mother, in school, working full time. So by the time I get home, I'm kind of pooped.
yes.
So that research that I could be doing is put on hold now.
Mm,
So we have that fear of the unknown, and then we put all of our life issue, well, I'm not gonna say issues, but our life circumstances now, and then the dream is now deferred
come on. Mhm.
because I have all of this going on. And I'm saying that because this is what I'm doing now.
Yes.
It's like I want to do all these things. And I keep telling myself, well, when I graduate, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
Hmm.
And and I know that there's more that I could be doing,
Hmm.
but because of my life circumstances, I have a lot. As to me, to somebody else, they might, oh, that's nothing. I got a bigger plate, but right now I feel like my plate is full,
Hmm.
and there are things that I want to do, but because I feel like my plate is full, if I try to put anything else, my plate's going to tip over and
Okay.
everything's going to fall off.
Okay. Okay.
So that's another fear. So I mean, there's there fear is everywhere.
Yes.
We have to figure out how to conquer that fear.
Mm.
And so that's what I'm working on now. And so I'm reaching out and
Hmm.
connecting with people like yourself and other people that I see are doing things that I'm interested in.
Yes.
So now I can get out of that not knowing where to start for certain things. So
Okay.
now that's a fear that I'm working on conquering.
Hmm.
So now when I conquer that fear, then I can conquer the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
Because now and then when I conquer that where to start, it's like, once you get started, when you get started, things start flowing because
Yes.
you start learning as you go, and then things starts becoming repetition. So
Hmm.
repetition. And so then you start to figure out what's going to happen next.
Hmm.
So as you keep going, you start to figure out. So then you start to conquer that fear of the unknown because now you start to learn, okay, if I do
Hmm.
this, this is going to happen.
Okay.
If I do this won't happen.
Okay. So
So
what you make room for, based on, and I'm also speaking to women that are in the same situation, or, and I said it's predicament. Again, it's like helping you to get unstuck. What would you do different? What would you make room for? What would you?
so um I just need to so I started last week.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
bought a planner.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, and that's what, we talked about earlier, making those small changes.
Yes.
Because I tried to do a planner before, but I'm one of those out of sight, out of mind people.
Okay.
So I can buy a planner, but if I don't see that planner for 2 days, that planner I might as well have never bought it.
Oh, makes sense.
So the planner that I have now, it's bigger than my
Mhm.
purse. and I carry it with me.
Uh-huh.
So when I start, if I know that I'm going to do something or I have an appointment, I'll write it in my planner. If I know that there's something that I need to do, like this interview here, in
Mhm.
my planner.
Mhm.
So now I can start scheduling. Now
Mhm.
I can put an hour worth of an hour to research, this topic.
Yes.
And then the next day I can do an hour of research in this topic. So, but it's just the small things that we do that start making a big difference.
True. Mm-hmm. So true. So as you put things in effect and as you put things in place, then you're acting it out. So at that point, I'm saying that to say this, you're literally conquering every step,
Hmm.
because sometimes we make things bigger than what it is. And at the end of the day, we're like, oh my God, I made a big deal of this.
Hmm.
What was so big about this? We made just a big deal about it. And because we made a big deal about it, it came as a huge cloud. And we're trying to push past this cloud. But in reality, it was a low hanging fruit. It was just real small, but we made it. We illuminated it. We made it bigger. And that goes back to imagery. Okay, that
Hmm.
goes back to imagery. But what you told me is that now I'm taking action steps to make room on my plate. I'm scheduling my day. I'm writing out my plans. And now I'm scheduling it hourly. So now I'm being more effective. And because I'm taking smaller steps, so what you did was I'm just giving an example, a 6 months plan. You broke it down into a monthly plan, and then you broke it down again into a weekly plan. And before you know it, you have conquered 3 months worth of work.
Hmm.
That so your initial goal was 6 months, but you did it in three.
Right.
You know, because what you did was assess, and you said I could do it. So you made changes. You bend, and we're speaking to the women here. You bend to adjust. You bend
Hmm.
to adjust. If you say that I can't do it, it seems hard, then it will be complicated, and then it will be hard. But when you bend to adjust, and because you know your time and you know your schedule, yes, you are a wife, you work a full-time job, you're a full-time mom. At that point, you will now make time to do what is needed, or what is to make it more effective. I'm one that would burn the midnight oil. I'm not now. I'm to the point tomorrow. I'm like, enough of this. My body is saying, go to bed, go to bed. But
Yes.
I'll go to bed, but my mind don't shut down because I'm still working. You know,
Hmm.
still working. And
Yeah.
then before you know it, I'm up on that laptop. So therefore, because there's a lot of work to do, a lot of things to cover, especially when you are driven.
Hmm.
I see that in you. And then we're speaking to the women that are driven, and you have that momentum, and you have that wind in your back. And at the same time, you still, just like Tamara said, you're trying to figure out what is the first step? What do I do? The first step, like she said, is write it down. Write your plans down, write your thoughts down. Oh, audio record it. Just, hey, I'm
Hmm.
thinking about doing stuff such and such. Record your thoughts, write it down. You have one. I have so many notebooks. T is everywhere. I have one in the car, one in this. I mean, I have so many notebooks to the point, and I had to go back and label it. Oh, it's the green notebook, or it's the
Hmm.
yellow notebook, it's the pink notebook, because there's so many notebooks. And then I had to then section it off by saying, this is for our business, this is for home, this is for such, this is for such. And they'll ask me, well, how do you know? Because I color coded it. You
Hmm.
know, and then I also have the little bitty one that's about $1 or so, that I have it in my purse. As I'm going, these thoughts are being downloaded, and I'm writing it down. So again, have pen and paper, red, blue, green, whatever, yellow, and write it down and keep going. Because as you're moving, as you execute and as you put your plans into place, you're going to get new and fresh downloads,
Hmm.
and you're going to tap into a new creativity. And before you know it, then your mood is changing, your momentum is changing. You're in that happy space because you are mentally stimulating your mind. You're mentally shifting yourself. And so, therefore, you could see the progression. You could see the progression. The next thing I would say is when you see the progression, do you accept the progression? Because you could be very hard on yourself. Are you hard on yourself, T?
Yes. Very, very much. Yes, yes, I am. And that's another thing I'm working on to, don't beat up on myself so much.
Oh my goodness.
Um, but but yes, I do accept my progressions because that actually makes me feel good.
Yes.
That's a reason to celebrate. Maybe celebrate by
Uh-huh.
myself, but I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
celebrate because I did something that, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago, I didn't think I could do,
Mm.
and I did it.
Yes.
And so there's nothing wrong with celebrating yourself. And you don't have to tell everybody every single, thing that you got going on. You don't have to, celebrate with everybody. But as long as you acknowledge what you're doing and
Yes.
you acknowledge that you are better than you were yesterday, better than you were an hour ago, that's something to be celebrated. So
That's it.
I do accept anything that I feel that I accomplish. I accept it, big or small.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. And also, when you're doing a self reflection, at the end of the day, I'm that one. At the end of the day, I'm looking and I'm reflecting. I'm like, oh man, this could have been far more better. I should have done such and such and such and such. And they're looking at me. Are you kidding me? Didn't you not see what you have done? I'm like, no, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Are you that person? And for those that are on the line tonight, are you that person? You could be a, they call it a perfectionist, or it, but pretty much you have the oil of excellence because you have such a standard about what you see. You're pretty much an architect of creativity. You have seen it this way, and you will drive yourself drinking. You're on your fifth cup of coffee, making that trip to Starbucks, whatever it is,
Mhm.
to stay up just to get it right because you are pushing yourself. But at the end of the day, it's okay if it doesn't look like what you projected.
Mhm.
It's okay if you are agitated. It's okay if guilt setting. It's okay if frustration getting. This is why I say that, because you know what you saw. You have captured that vision. And what I will say to you is this: remember, your vision has a timeline.
Mhm.
The perfection of the vision have a timeline, and it could very well be that what you've seen, you might not lay eyes on it physically. It could be that God used you to build a foundation for a generation to come to experience your vision. So your vision could very well be 10, 20 years ahead, but he allow you to go into the future, now come back into the present to establish that vision. And because you are establishing that vision, he's allowing the team to come into place, he's allowing the people to come into place because you are the architect of that vision. So until you get it to where you want to be, remember, just like an architect, you have arms and legs. God is sending you help.
Mhm.
You need help. So you can't isolate or separate everybody or anyone that sees the vision, because as you express the vision, there are those that's going to see the vision, and they will come and they will push to you like a wind. Oh, I see this. I see that. I see this. And before you know it, they have pushed that vision um, 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. That's when you said earlier, we have to reach out to connect
Mhm.
because there are souls connected to our assignment that would push us forward in time. Push us forward in time. And you also mentioned something earlier, just based on conversation, that sometimes we could also connect with those that have that crab mentality, that
Mhm.
could not see they will, fight and fight against or come against those that are visionary like yourself. What would you say to those powerful yet beautiful women that don't understand yet their value and worth, and also to those that understand their value and worth, of how to get past that moment or time?
So so we have to look at ourselves, and first we have to recognize what's being said about us.
Ah,
We have to recognize that because with being a black woman, we're the butt of of a lot of jokes. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these jokes are funny. I laugh at these jokes, but then you sit back and you think, because a lot of these jokes that you see, they're imitating Black women, So and not even just that, but the stereotype about Black women, we're hard to deal with. We have attitudes, we're loud, we're this and we're that. Once we recognize what's being said about us, we can then start to shape our lives to be opposite of what's being said about us, because we are not who, I mean, women are women, period. So if you want to say a Black woman is hard to deal with, I'm gonna say all women are hard to deal with.
Yes.
So and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes we can be, as some men say, difficult creatures. But that's not a Black woman thing. So we have to not let what's being said about us define us. And we have to live our lives opposite of what's being said about us. And in some things, it's just who we are. Most Black women don't allow certain things. So if you're gonna come at a woman and think you're gonna talk to her, or come at a Black woman crazy and think you're gonna talk to her crazy, then she's probably going to tell you about herself. And if that makes her difficult, that makes her ghetto or loud, then you know what, so be it. Sometimes I guess you have to be ghetto and loud, but we have to recognize what's being said about us and try to live as much as possible the opposite of what's being said about us, because we are not a lot of the things that's being said about us, but that's what was put on us. And it's been put on us for so long that some of us start to live that way. Oh, well, that's what they say anyway, so I might as well do it. I mean, but we have to, it's just something that we have to work on as a group. So that's why I say, when I see a Black woman, if I make eye contact with her, I try to make some type of, hey, how you doing? Good morning, good evening, have a good night. Oh, girl, that dress is pretty. Them shoes, I like them shoes. That's a cute purse. I try to do something when I come to Black women to make my interaction with her positive, because they see us as ratchet, as thoughts, as all these negative things, but we can live opposite of that, and they'll have no choice but to start seeing us as the educated Black woman, as the strong Black woman. And you may call me ghetto, but I'm not going to take no crap. And I mean, and that's just what it is. We're not going to be able to fix everything that's being said about us, but you know what? If you want to think that, if you want to say that, what you think about me has nothing to do with me. I'm gonna live my life how I see fit. And if that disturbs you, if that if I come at if someone comes at me disrespectful and I tell them about themselves, if that makes me hard to deal with, then so be it. Your opinion of me doesn't, their opinion of Black women doesn't define us. So we just have to learn how to live opposite of what they say about us.
And that's powerful in its saying, because what happened is, you've discovered your truth. But there are those that are literally building their lives and shaping their lives to prove others wrong for what they said. And and they're so busy building to fight against others' narratives to the point where they have lost themselves. You see what I'm saying? So what would happen at the end of the day when there's no more fight? When you're busy contending at everybody's narrative, their opinions, their mindsets. What will happen at the end of the day when there's no more fight? Because there are battles and there are wars. So when will you fight for you? When will you fight for your worth? When will you fight for you? Hmm.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just, what you said, that's a powerful truth.
Hmm.
But there are others that really don't think that way. They're still trying to validate and justify who they are, and that's because they're dealing with rejection or abandonment issues, and they feel that they have to prove someone wrong, and they're going out of their way to prove this one wrong, or mama wrong, or daddy wrong, that company wrong, my boss wrong, and pretty much that is their mental space. That's where they're at, you know.
And that mindset is going to keep you unhappy.
Mm,
That mindset is going to keep your confidence low,
mhm.
because while you're fighting, trying to change what they think about you, you're also thinking, am I doing too much?
Ah,
Should I do this? Should I not do that?
yes.
So if you try to change people's perception of you,
Hmm.
you're gonna be unhappy, because
Yes.
it doesn't matter what you do in your life. There are gonna be people who don't like you. There are gonna be
Mhm.
people who's gonna judge you, and that has nothing to do with you. You have to figure out how to live your life and not let other people's opinions affect you.
Yes.
Because just like, and it don't matter what I've done. I've made some mistakes in my life. I've made some mistakes that I am ashamed of. I made some mistakes that, you know, I feel weren't that bad, but eventually they were that bad,
Yeah.
but I'm not that person anymore. So if
Mm,
that's what you want to keep judging me on, that's between you and my past.
yes.
I'm over here now.
Hmm.
So we have to fix. So my thing is, and with that person, like I said before, I don't know if it was the beginning of this interview or while we were talking, but once you finally get tired of it,
Hmm.
you'll start to change, and that's when you'll start, the basic Google searches, how to, do whatever. Then you'll start getting those bits and pieces of information on where to get certain information on what it is that you're trying to fix about yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, but
Hmm.
you're going to have to get tired of it, because until you're tired of it, nothing's going to change.
That's true.
So you can wake up every day and think about, um, your manager upset with you because of, whatever. You can harp on that, forever, and try to work at fixing that one mistake,
Mm.
you get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so when you start doing that, and that's when you start losing yourself.
Hmm.
You start losing yourself as well. So it's like I done lost myself. I am unhappy. My anxiety's through the roof. My depression is through the roof. What am I doing? Like that's when I feel like that person will, hopefully they will start to reach out. They will get tired of having those feelings and reach out for help. And ask for help. I
But
mean, you may not know where to, but hey,
I was about
Google.
to say they might not know where to start for help. But the thing about it is, because they have been living a lie for so long, they have to let go of that lie. They have to let go of that myth. And when they let go of that myth, there is a sense of void. There has to be a replacement. So if I let go of this myth, that I don't have to fight to justify myself, to validate myself, what can I fill it with? So until then, they're going to keep holding on to that myth because it justified them as an individual, it justified them
Right.
as who they are as a woman, and it
Mhm.
justified them when I said in regards to um, their mental state, their being. So in
Mhm.
order for them to let go of that, it has to have a replacement. They have to
Mhm.
have a replacement, filling the void, filling the void. Thank you so much for that, Tamara. Now tell our audience, where can they find you on social media? How can they connect with you?
So my Facebook is just Tamara Carson on my Facebook, and my Instagram is melanin_Scorpio.
Okay, melanin underscore Scorpio. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Is there any last words that you would like to speak to the women, and how in pretty much empowering her, the woman? Hmm.
So for our Black queens out there, I just want you to know that no matter what is being said about you, you are beautiful, you
Mm.
are smart, your past does not define you, you are not who you were yesterday, and keep fighting. I
Yes.
mean, we are going to have, you're not going to have issues every day, but you're going to run into issues. And
Mm.
as long as you stand on who you are and not try to be anybody else, you will learn to be happy within yourself.
That's true.
You have to learn who you are, and that's going to take time.
Yes.
Learn who you are, learn to love yourself, affirm to yourself every day,
Yes.
and we gonna make it through.
Hmm.
I love you, Black woman.
Oh, thank you for that. And as Tamara said, again, learn to love yourself, which means embrace yourself in totality. You might not like your nose, you might not. Well, see, we are in a stage where if we don't like our nose, we go have surgery and get it fixed. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if when you learn to embrace who you are, you might not like the way your hips, your thighs, or just the way your shape or your nose or whatever. But once you embrace yourself and you can see the beauty in you, then and only then you'll be able to be happy
Mm-hmm.
and be able to live in happiness, and that's when you'll experience joy. But as long as you are picking at yourself and looking for flaws, you are going to be miserable. So you
Mm-hmm.
cannot expect happiness and also to render, share, or enhance or give as a gift happiness to someone if your mental state and also your heart is not right. So at that point, learn to embrace, accept who you are, and as you are, like Tamara said, learning is it doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey, and as you affirm, which means take into practice and speak to yourself daily and put things into practice to redefine who you are, accepting who you are, and you'll be able to walk in the totality of you. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight, Tamara. This was a blessing. This was very impactful, also powerful, full of wisdom and nugget. I hope this session impacted you. Please leave your comments and or if you have any questions. And if you'd like to reach out to Tamara, you could reach out to her on Facebook, and she will be able to respond and answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye.